And yeah, you might just have to agree.
I did.
Okay, good.
I got it.
Let's see if it's one right, so we can see this, see that. I'm trying to do better here.
Are you guys still looking for someone to help out on the internet?
Yes,
We are looking for a social media helper, website, etc. Instagrammer, somebody who can work with the programmers and the web people, and because we're overworked, overrun. Okay.
well, yeah, you shouldn't have to be doing that stuff.
All right, so we are now going to go live on Facebook here, so let's. Upper Midwest Bead. Okay. Sharing on the page, so sharing on the Bead Society. Hello, everybody. Happy Earth Day. I'm Rochelle J from Bobby Bead and Team Toho. Welcome to our fabulous Earth Day celebration. We have Maggie Thompson here today, who is a wonderful Kumahimo artist, and she is going to be showing us a. What are you going to be doing today, Maggie?
It's a mostly recycled materials bracelet. It's a very simple little design, but the selling point, of course, is that we're using Toho rebeads and Beadalon repeat recycled plastic bottles.
And
Cord.
it's an 8-strand braid today?
Yep, 8-cord,
Wonderful.
8-cord, just the traditional 8-cord spiral.
Since it's Earth Day, we really need to be aware of all the different things going on in the planet that we have to reuse, reduce, so that there's room for all of us to exist longer. And so recycling is one of the best ways. And to bring awareness to everything going on in the world and all the people having bringing us together. Let's find our point of. I'm making awareness ribbons. We all have seen them everywhere and for everything. And so if you use the Toho piece ring pattern, it makes a perfect awareness ribbon. You don't have to fold it over and make a ring. You can fold it over and make a wonderful earring or a necklace if you want to. You know, pink for breast cancer. We've got rainbows. We've got single colors, or you could do a bicolor if you wanted to. We are going to teach you all wonderful ways to make awareness ribbons. So for earrings or pendants that way, or just to hang them around, a simple way to make a statement without saying any words.
There
Just
you go.
half a gram of beads. And so we're very excited. But before we get into that, this is the Upper Midwest Bead Society. We have a couple announcements to make. Jan, do you want to make the announcement or do you want me to?
I can do it. So we're looking for a media person for the Bead Society, someone that would work with the website. Maggie and I can train on that. Both of us are backup people, so no one's really stuck alone. But in addition to that, I'll work with Facebook and develop an Instagram account for the Bead Society. So, you know, it would be a learning experience. You don't have to have a lot of experience with it, but just be willing to kind of dive in and learn new things.
I'd love to help out with that.
And so thanks,
Yeah.
Rita. We
I'm
really,
retired and I'm looking for things to fill my time, some of it. So yeah, I'd love to.
Right.
I know I know some things, but I'm sure that there's a lot I can learn yet. So
Wow.
yeah,
well, and
That'd be great.
spirit is the most important part, and once you get a little bit more involved in the Bead Society, then it just happens, it's so much more fun to get more and more involved. You really meet a wonderful group of people that have a common spirit, a common love for beading. Beading makes me happy, and
That's
so.
why we all do it.
Exactly, and it's a common language, and so I've been building friends all over the world through beading. And so we are very excited to share with you today. And also coming up for our member meeting, if you want to become a member of the Upper Midwest Bead Society, we do have 12 private member meetings per year. And they happen on the first Monday of every month. So on May 1st, we have Amy K. Sweet McNamara, and she is going to be teaching us wonderful things all about soutache and her wonderful work. She's a hat designer, all kinds of different things that she creates. And so if you go to umbs.org, you can find out more information and all the links, how to become a member. It's only $35 a year. And if you want to find out more about our programming and links to everything and all the patterns, go to the calendar page as well. So we are very excited to have all sorts of wonderful speakers coming up to our private meetings. But for today, we are going to feature Maggie Thompson. So let's switch our cameras here and feature. We'll spotlight her there, and then we're also going to switch this camera.
Okay.
And then we're also going to spotlight. There we go.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
Super.
good.
All right.
good. All right, so today we're going to do one of 3 bracelets that I made for Beadalon. They got a hold of me last August at the Bead Fest Lancaster show and wanted me to do one bracelet with their recycled cord, which is made from plastic bottles, and it's called Repeat, REPEAT, just like normal. So this is one of them that I made, and this is called Triple R Bracelet number 2 of 3. And like I said before, this is just the traditional 8-cord spiral, and I'm using Toho recycled glass beads as well. So we're going to be learning how to do that today. And just a note, this is the repeat cord. And it's the 1 millimeter.
And that's made out of plastic bottles?
Recycled plastic bottles, and it comes in all kinds of colors, and I've got quite a few colors in the 5-yard lengths on my website. And
And
we're
your website is
designs.com,
maggiedesigns.com.
all one word, real simple. And then we're also going to use some of these Toho rebeads. I told you that. And we'll be using some of the Beadalon's Wildfire thread. And this is the crystal and 0.15 millimeter. And then I'm also going to be using 2 cords of this Superlon Tex number 210, which is the 0.5 millimeter. The repeat cord is 1 millimeter. And we're going to combine these. So I'm going to string the beads onto this because you can't get the beads on that repeat cord. It's just a little too thick. So if we're going to look here, does everybody, and maybe what I should say at this point is you can go to umbs.org, get the free pattern, and download that. And then you can get one of these little kits that I've done in 3 different colorways from my website. It's only $10 for the supplies plus shipping. And I did it in 3 colors, the black and fuchsia, a patriotic one, which is red, white, and blue. And then the one that I'm demonstrating today, which is the summertime, green, blue, and shiny beads.
Ooh, happy
Because
summer.
we all need to have some happy colors at this point in the year.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want me to do my screen share? Should I do that?
You certainly can show them a brief pattern.
Okay. There we go.
All caught up, especially if you've never done kumihimo before, or you're horrible at it like I am.
Nobody's horrible at it. You just have to practice.
It's
It's like
true.
anything else. The more you
It's
do it, the
true.
better you
I
get.
don't have time to really get good at it, so
Mhm.
maybe it'll sink in the more I watch you too.
So this is the pattern. This is what you can download from the UMBS.org. And as you can see, it's
So is
pretty
there
much,
a trick to the stringing on your beads, or that
Mhm.
you?
yeah, and we'll get to that. I just wanted to show this pattern to start with. And then we'll just stop the share, and then we'll go right to the camera here. So the first things that we're going to do is prepare the cords. So, and this is short cords, obviously, you're going to have 36 inches, 36 to 40 inches on the cords, but I wasn't gonna, waste all that cord on the first demonstration step. So you get all 4 of your cords measured out at 36, 38, 40 inches, whatever it is you want to do, fold them in half. And then what you do is you take some of this wildfire, which is the same as Fireline. Of course, don't say that too loud around the beetle on people. And you're going to wrap it real tightly. So you end up with a little loop here. And then you take your super glue and put a little dot of super glue right on the cord there, and that'll hold it all in place. And you let that glue dry. And then you're going to attach a weight. And when I wrote the pattern, of course, I was highlighting all Beadalon and Artistic Wire products. And so if you look in the pattern, it shows a different kind of a weight. But these,
You can use any.
but you can use any kind of weight. This is just the one that I prefer. Now, the other thing, and when I was writing this pattern, I was featuring the Beadalon products. And so instead of the Superlon, which is not made by Beadalon, I was using Wildfire for one of the cords, as well as for binding. But I think it's a little bit easier to use the Superlon cord. So,
And it comes in so many pretty colors.
oh, tons of colors, lots and lots of them. So I'm using a mint green in the Superlon, and I'm using this, what they call sky blue, which is an aqua. And then I'm using this lime green. Okay, measured those out, folded them in half, wrapped it, glued it, hooked on the weight. Okay. And so the next step will be loading it onto your disc. Here we go. Put this camera up just a little bit. And this is a Beadalon disc. There are other kinds of foam discs. I just use the, regular density. There are some that are twice as dense, and that's just a personal thing.
Oh, okay, they don't make a different kind of braid the
Nope.
thicker they are.
No,
Okay,
that's all personal. And the same thing, this is a 6-inch one. people use the 4-inch one too, 4.5-inch, whatever size that is, you know, you'll get the same braid. It's going down the center hole. You're putting the same beads in, doing the same technique. So we started out with the blue ones at the 32 dot and the 16 dot, one on each side. And oops, we'll get that little baby back where it's supposed to be. And then I used the green, lime green cords on one side of the 24, oops, and one side of the 8. So this would actually be the 9 and 25 slots. And don't know if you can see it. And this is the Superlon cord. And I use that at the 8 and 24 slots. Tell me if you can't see what I'm doing here. Does that look pretty clear? Okay, so then what we do is we load on the beads. Let's see, where are we here?
You want to adjust it
Yeah.
some or higher?
No, I don't think so. Okay, here we go. I just want to be able to see
Yeah.
the beads. Okay, so then you take the two Superlon cords, and you can use the big eye needle that I've included in the little kits. And they look like this, and they split in the middle. And you put your Superlon cord through the middle of that bead. And string on all of your beads, and then put it on, wind it around a bobbin. I always cut a slit in the back of my bobbin and anchor the cord in that slit, and then wind up the beads. And so you only need 2 bobbins for this one, just for the 2 S-Lon cords. And so we're gonna do this. I'm not sure we can see this good enough. Okay, so then we're going to start braiding. And the first thing you're going to do, and bear with me because I'm doing this backwards and upside down. You'll start at with 32 at the top, 16 at the bottom. You'll start with your lower left cord, which is 16, and move it straight up. So right next to is between the 30 and the 31. And then you're going to take this top right cord, and it goes straight down on the other side of the 15. And then from here we're going, I go quarter turn left, so that 24 is at the bottom, and take that Superlon cord, and it goes straight up, and then the top right goes straight down. And then we're going to quarter turn again and repeat. So there's 3 basic steps to Kumihimo. You go bottom left cord up, straight up, never cross your cords. Top right cord straight down, quarter turn to the left. Those are your 3 moves. Bottom left up, top right down, quarter turn counterclockwise. I say to the left, just depends on how you want to remember it. And we're only going to do this 1 or 2 more times here. And what I'm doing here in the middle is I'm getting the braids set up so that when I can start dropping the beads, they drop where they're supposed to, and they stay there. So now we're going to drop the first bead. So we've got bottom left cord, which has a bead on. You take 1 bead, and it should pop under this crossing string. And then you take your top right. And that bead should pop underneath this crossing string. Can everybody see that?
Oh, there you go, perfect.
Okay. And then you do your quarter turn again. And bottom left up, top right down, quarter turn, bottom left up, top right down, quarter turn, same thing again, top right down, quarter turn, and now we're back to the beaded cord again. So you pick up one bead, and I always separate it with a thumbnail when I have them, and just drop it down underneath the crossing cord. And then do that top right down. And continue around. And as you're going, your braid will start appearing through, here we go, down through the bottom of the center hole. And if you get interrupted, here we go, I'll get this right side up for you guys. If you get interrupted, leave your 3 at the top, or what I like to call 3 in the tree.
Ah, okay.
So then you always know you've got your bottom left came up here. So this is your top right. So you'll always know exactly where you're going to be. And then I'm going to showcase very briefly the little stand that I invented. Let me put this right here. It comes apart. You just pull it apart, take the top off the bottom with the 4 little dowel legs. You've got a 5-inch ruler at the bottom, and the discs come off with Velcro, so you can trade your discs out. And I do this, I take these on trips with me, and I'll string up several projects on different discs, and that, you can sit in the airplane, sit in the car, whatever. And when you get done with the first one, take off the disc, put on the second disc, and you're ready to go with your next project and do all the braiding.
So to keep the tension even on the braid underneath, because you can see it sort of through that hole in the middle there. The weight does all the work, or is how you are controlling the top threads also?
It's a combination of both. The weight really does keep the braid steady and straight down through the hole. If you start seeing that your braid is hanging down through the center of the hole, that's too loose.
Okay.
And if you find that your disc is, let's see, how do I do this? That your disc is bending like this, then you're too tight.
Okay.
And you can end up with too short a braid.
So how, when you're now looking at this top, you just walked away and came back a day later. So how do you know where you are and where you're supposed to start?
That's why you left your 3 in the tree.
And so then that means I do what now?
This one, your top right one, will be your next one, always.
And so you put it down before you slide the bead?
This one, because this one doesn't have any beads on
Oh,
it.
right, okay.
We've only got 2 cords with beads on. If you were doing a regular braid, yeah, you'd be dropping a bead on every cord, but not on this design. So then you would just do.
I think it's nice to mix that.
Yeah,
See it.
it's different. And then do your quarter turn. So you've already done step 1. So you come back a day later, do step 2 and quarter turn. And now you've got, again, your 3 in the tree.
So you keep turning it around as you're working at it.
Right.
And then how do you know to get the bead into the right spot?
The bead should just fall down. Let me go ahead and braid till we get to the next cord, and here we are, and I'm going to show this again. So here's one bead, and I just, put my thumbnail there, separated it, and tilt that cord down. Where are we here? And then that bead should fall down right underneath this cord.
Underneath the.
Yeah.
crossbar.
If you've
Okay.
been doing your braid correctly, you lift that cord up, drop one bead, and it'll slide right under there. I'll do it again, just so that everybody can see what I'm doing. So there is our bead right there. And you just drop it down. Sometimes you have to just touch it, to make sure it falls down, and then put it here. And like you said, it's your tension is really everything in
Mhm.
Kumihimo, and you have to decide if you're a tight braider or a loose braider. And I would highly recommend experimenting until you get to some kind of a middle of the road tension, because otherwise you're going to be changing patterns every time you do them. If you're a loose braider, you're going to have to be putting fewer beads on, because otherwise your braid is going to be an inch longer than it ought to be.
Oh.
If you
okay.
put on the same number of beads, excuse me. And by the same token, if you braid too tightly,
Mhm.
you'll end up with, a 3-inch braid when you were going for a 6.5 to 7-inch braid. And like I said, it's like with anything that you do, you have to practice.
Right.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I fail miserably at putting slits in the back of my little rubber discs, and the beads always manage to slip. The disc slips and the bead slips. So is there a secret to those slits in the back of those little, is there a certain way you do them, or?
Do you have these same bobbins that I do, or are you?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, because you
Yeah.
don't have to make the slits in the back of the weighted bobbins.
Mhm.
Those you can just pop them open and put the cord through, and the weight will hold the cord there.
Oh.
Okay, but I have the unweighted ones as well, so,
Okay,
yeah.
so what I've done is, let me find here. And I guess I don't know that there's any special trick. I just took a scissors and cut a slit, half an inch
Yeah,
slit. And then I just make sure that cord is down inside there. Now, how old are your bobbins?
maybe older than they should be. That might be the problem.
Because I have found that after I use these for, and quite a while, and I mean like a year or more,
Mm-hmm.
lot of-
Yeah.
that's a lot of braiding for me.
Mhm.
I find that these tend to get a little loose, so I'll just get rid of the bobbin. They're, pretty cheap, or
Yeah,
something else. So it might be that you've got older bobbins. And
yeah.
your slit is just
Thank you. Yeah.
I hope that,
Rochelle, do you sell the weighted ones?
Bobby Bead does sell, the small size of weighted ones, and then I have 3 or 4 sizes of the unweighted ones.
yeah, I think the weighted ones are 1 7/8 inch.
Yes, exactly.
And these are 2.5 inches.
Correct, and then there's a bigger size.
And there's a
of that,
3-inch size.
Correct,
Plus there's a 1 7/8 inch size unweighted.
correct, and so we have all the sizes of unweighted, but the weighted one is just that one small
Mhm.
size, which
Yes.
is. Seems like a good size, yeah.
It's great for bracelets. I just automatically use these.
The medium kind of size.
The medium ones, and I prefer unweighted bobbins, but again, it's the same thing as with your disc.
Mhm.
What are you most comfortable with? What gives you the braid that you want to see? And I just always use these because I do a lot of necklaces too. And so if you have a lot of beads to wind up, those smaller ones just won't fit all the cords and the beads.
So there's enough room on there
Mhm.
for enough of a necklace.
Right. And by using these bobbins, you can wind your cord up and down, when you need more cord to continue braiding.
Gotcha.
So rather than continue and bore everybody to tears watching me braid, braid some more.
1:30, you're
Yeah.
more than welcome to,
Well, we've got a little bit more to cover here.
Good,
So,
good, good.
so we've got this, let's pretend you did all of your braiding. We'll put that over to the side.
It really is pretending for me.
And, whoops, where are we here? There we go. So you got this off your disc. We'll pretend that this end cap isn't on again. So, and a couple of notes about this repeat cord. You always want to burn it, not cut it. If you cut it, it frays. And I mean, it just springs out like crazy.
That's really good to know.
And I would not iron it. I can iron my Superlon, but this I believe will probably melt to your iron because of the plastic.
Does it have a waxy finish feel to it like the waxed cording does? or
No, no, not really. And I've also noticed that depending on the color, it can be stiffer or looser. Now this, what I have found here,
Maybe the more dye that's in it.
and it has to be the dye, but this is what happens when you cut it.
Oh, wow, it totally frays all over.
Yeah, it totally
So do you
frays.
recommend one of those cord burners?
I most surely do. I do not travel anywhere without my
Because
cord burner.
A thread burner is different from a cord burner. The cord burner comes at a higher heat, right?
Yep, this is the large one, the cord zap. You have two batteries in here as opposed to the one that just has one battery. And you'll see when I burn these off, I mean, it's just like slicing through butter. I love these. They're just wonderful. And I was going to say something else. Oh, well, went out of my head. Perhaps it'll come back. Yeah, anyway, so I do iron my Superlon cords because I like them to be straight and not curly when I'm stringing up a design. Okay, so you got your cord all done, your little braid here. And as you can see, got all your sparkly little beads here,
I love it.
which is fun. And by doing the beads just on those two cords, it looks like it's polka dotted.
It really does.
Yeah.
And those are the clear glass Toho beads or?
No,
the
this
blue
is the black bottle with silver line.
Silver line black bottle. And so wow.
And I have different beads, rebeads in the kits that I've got in my shop because of course I couldn't have enough of one color.
Right.
You know, it's tough getting a hold of them.
It
So-
is.
so I
They're
had to
brand
mix and
new on
match
the
and-
market, and there's only a couple places that have them. Bobby B does not have them yet. So I'm sorry, we will get them as soon as we can.
Same with me.
But
Same.
Maggie has some in her kits.
Yeah,
And as the more and more we find out where they are, then we will let you know, but they're really exciting. They are in the Toho Challenge kit, the
Yes.
other rebeads.
they are. Well, yes, in the regular bottle. Okay, so we got everything off here and the end cap already on one end.
Excuse me,
Oh, whoops. Yes, sorry, unmute. Where did you go, Robin?
I just wanted to know what the name of her store was.
My shop is maggietdesigns.com.
I put it right at the top of the chat for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I did one end cap here and then we'll go over to the other end here. And this is where I'll show you where you want to burn off. So, and you see how hot this is
Oh,
getting?
yeah, wow.
I mean, it is hot and it just right through it. Like that.
I got it.
And it burns it off and melts the ends so they don't fray. That's the other thing I was going to tell you is you can't tie a knot like if I'm doing a design with all Superlon cords.
Uh-huh.
when I fold my cords over, I can tie an overhand knot. So that all 8 of those cords are in the knot. You can't do that. These cords are just a little too thick. I mean, you can do it, I should say you can, but you get this big old knot.
Oh,
And then you have to have a much larger end cap on the end, and it looks out of whack.
so that's why you use the wildfire. to
That's
do
why
that
you use the
nice
wildfire to
technique.
wrap it. And this is now really stiff. So here is my other one, and I always dry fit it before I put the glue on, because I want to make sure I burned off enough cord that I don't end up with my end cap showing the wildfire wrap. You don't want to show any of that. And I like my end caps to be seated right down next to the beads, because I just think it's a neater, more professional looking finish like this, instead of showing all your extra cords. So then put the end cap on, I fill this at least 2/3 to 3/4 full. It takes a lot of super glue. Oops, there, I messed that up. And then I stick it in and push it down next to my beads, and then just hold it.
And so you really do prefer super glue over any of the other glues, like the GS Hypo Cement or E6000?
I've used E6000 and don't care for it,
What about GS Hypo Cement?
and I haven't tried that,
Okay.
so that might be just fine. And
I've used it on some of my other macrame projects and other threads. So
does it work for you?
it does, because it's a kind of a mixed media, but I'm just not as careful with super glue. But that tip on your super glue looks like a smaller, more controllable style.
This is the one that I always get. It's Loctite super glue gel.
Oh, see, that really makes. a
I never
difference,
use the
too.
liquid. The liquid, you'll glue everything to your hands and to everything else that's within, a 2-foot radius. And this one, you squeeze the sides and
Oh,
you come out with literally a dot at a time, if that's what you're looking for. You can hold it and squeeze harder and get more out, but that's what I really like about that. So we'll let that end dry a little more, and then it's real easy. Whoops, what did I do with my? I don't know. I must have attached when you have a magnet ending, they tend to attach themselves to anything metal that's laying around. So I think my little magnet went walkabout.
it's
So
right here.
thank you. There
Yep,
we go.
and it's stuck to the other kit.
I was right. It's connected to another magnet on another kit. So then all I'm doing to finish it off is a couple of chain nose pliers and attach that magnet to the end of your, oops, yeah, let's do that, to your end cap. Just like that. And I'm not going to connect it to the other end yet because it's probably not finished. I mean, not completely dry. And so I like to let it dry for a while, just to make sure. And I would not wear this for 24 hours or at least
We
overnight.
do have one question about when you use your cord zapper, do you end up with a black blob? You know, from where the melt, the cord burnt?
The very tips will be, I'll just pull this off. Very tips will be kind of blackish, but you're covering all that up. It's all going inside with the glue, so you'll never see it.
Well, because a lot of people do make those slide knots with that same.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
And then melt the ends on that. And so I was just wondering how this cording does with, if it changed color dramatically when burnt, or you said it was harder to tie, but if you're doing like maybe a slide knot, it wouldn't matter if it's a little bigger, I just didn't know.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it will blacken the ends and they'll get very stiff
stiff, okay.
because I cut those pretty short. You know, I burned them off pretty
Mhm.
short because I want it to fit inside
Well, yeah.
this end cap. So depending on how many beads you put on and how long your cords are, in general, the way I braid, I have 6 cords or 6 beads per 1 inch. Will give you a 1 inch braid. So if you want a 6-inch braid, you'd put on 36 beads. And so you'll end up with like from here to here is a 6-inch braid. And then you add extra on.
Just
you
in
know.
case.
No, I just meant your bracelet will be actually longer than that because you're putting on end caps and
Oh, right.
so.
And so, but yeah, that's how you would measure. If you
Mhm.
had a 7-inch wrist, you would then add another 6 beads per inch,
Right, so you would have 42 beads.
42 beads.
Yeah.
Oh,
Instead of
that's a good way of
36.
doing that.
And it's, you know. And it depends also on what kind of beads you're using. I almost exclusively use Toho beads. Because I like them. They're right in the middle. Matsuno beads
Mhm.
are a little taller. And I can mix Matsuno and Toho beads and come up with
Close.
pretty close to the same measurements. Miyuki beads are much shorter and they change the length of your bracelet, so you have to put more on. So I just don't ever use Miyuki because
They're shorter.
it screws up my arithmetic.
Oh, right. And so it's harder to, but wouldn't, if you change sizes of beads, doesn't it start to spiral or something different or?
No, because you're still braiding those beads right
Oh,
inside
okay.
the cords.
I just didn't know if it would like, cause when you're peyoteing or tubular peyote, if something's smaller, it starts to like. Tilt, sort of.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, and I just never use Miyuki because they just
Right.
don't play well with Toho and Matsuno. The other thing that I wanted to let you know, I have already stretched this out, but after you braided this, you can pull it and get another 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch
Oh, wow.
on the braid because of this kind of cord. So that's just something else to be aware of. So if you wanted to end up with an 8-inch bracelet, you would normally say, let's do a 7-inch braid and leave an inch for the end caps and the magnets and the jump rings. But I guess for this particular cord, I would probably do 7.5,
Mhm.
or 6.5. And I'm sorry, I went the wrong direction. 6.5 and then stretch it out.
So it's the repeat cord mostly that has a little bit of stretch to
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
Well, that's really interesting because
Yeah.
a lot of times, what if you made one that was more like a bangle?
That would
then-
make a difference. Yeah.
Then you could try to roll it over your hand or something.
Mhm. But I would definitely recommend stretching it out before you finish off your braid because if you're doing a bangle, every time you put it on, you're going to stretch it a little more and a little more.
Okay,
So stretch it out completely
before you attach it to the other
before
end.
you finish off the ends.
That makes total sense.
Mhm.
Good stuff. And, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. How many colors does the cord come in?
Oh, it comes in a lot of colors. And I've got, I don't have all of them. I've got the navy and the fuchsia. And of course, the aqua, which I think they call sky blue, sorry. And then gray. That's a dark gray. And this is a kind of a lightish gray beige, which they call cloud. And then this brown one is earth. I've got, and these I've all got in my shop at the moment. I've got red I have to get in there and black. And as soon as Toho cooperates with me and gets me the rebeads, those will be in my shop. too.
Exactly.
Those will be on my website.
Trying to
Yeah.
get those to be,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, because we have to recycle, we have to think about our planet Earth. This is not an infinite amount of space to put our garbage, this is crazy. So why
Exactly.
not reduce, reuse, and, let's make sure we have a planet left for us to live on longer.
And for our children and grandchildren and their children,
Yes.
because we're trashing it for generations to come, and that's just not acceptable.
It is not acceptable, and so we are very grateful for companies to think more globally, and
Mhm.
so for Beadalon to be on it, and Toho Beads to be on it. And I did find
Somebody
out-
has to start the process.
Exactly, I did find out
Yep.
that some of the check glass beads have always been 25% recycled glass in there. So,
Really?
yeah, like the rings,
Interesting.
they're called crackle glass. So it
Yes.
has all that neat texture in there.
Uh-huh.
That has 25% recycled glass in there always to make that happen. And apparently there's something about the different types of glass that create that cool look.
Wow, because I've got quite a few of that crackle
Right, and so I
glass.
was talking to the
And,
people that
I didn't know that.
manufacture them, and they were telling me that, and they've been selling them for years and not promoting that fact, so I thought that was. New information about. a
Well,
bead
I'll
that
have
we
to get
can-
those beads up in my shop
Yeah.
and put that in the description. They're 25% recycled glass. That's great.
Exactly, yeah.
That's great.
So it's, it's every little bit helps, or if
Mhm.
you do have those beads that are weird shaped, just save them for later, save them for the, freeform peyote projects or something. Or
Right.
your bead soup project.
Right.
Like, what your tree over here has every bead under the sun on.
Well,
it,
we
and so-
did use every single bead that was in the Toho challenge, every
and
single color.
So, so she's attaching now the clasp, it's all dry now, right?
No,
Oh,
I just tested. I thought maybe it would
no,
be.
she's getting excited, so.
So we'll just
until
leave
then-
this as is and take it as read that obviously you just put the jump ring in here and attach it to the other end of the magnet, but I think this won't be dry for
For a while.
a little while, so we'll quit messing with it and stop that,
Right.
stop playing.
And so in the meantime, we have a fun little treat here. If you haven't seen Facebook earlier today, Maggie Thompson and Lisa Dooley are two of our Toho Challenge for 2023 featured designers. And they had their unveiling of their amazing Toho Challenge design. And what they created. The Toho Challenge for 2023 is called Nothing Gold Can Stay. It's inspired by a poem by Robert Frost. And so it's amazing, fun design. And we'll close up here, zoom, so we can see, look at this amazing star on top that they did.
Lisa made that star.
Lisa made the star out of Toho Aiko beads, and the little check 4x6 drops are poking out, and then there's fringe with the Toho 6 demi beads that Maggie made. And then this is an entire 12-foot rope kumihimo. And so if you imagine, it only needed 36 beads to create that little bracelet, to create a 12-foot rope of kumihimo. That is what is going all around creating the tree, using all of these different beads. There are so many different beads in that rope. And then Lisa made a whole bunch of these fun ornaments that are using all these different Toho beads, check glass beads. I don't know if you've ever been to one of Lisa's beaded bead classes.
It's her specialty is beaded beads, and she did a
teach
fantastic
this
job.
one Here, this is
Thank
the
you, Maggie.
This is
You're welcome.
corset bead, She taught that one for Upper Midwest Bead Society, so that video of this bead is on YouTube. So you could get the pattern from the archive of UMBS and then go to the YouTube channel and then create some of these beaded beads. And Lisa has some of the patterns for some of them as well.
Point out the one with the rebeads on it there.
On Lisa's bead shop. Lisa's Etsy shop is called Lisa Bead Designs, and that is on Etsy. And so this is the Toho recycled glass beads. Oops, here we go. It's the brown glass bottle beads right there. And then there's some more here too. All built in, creating these really fun little ornaments. And so it's kind of hard. There's so many wonderful things on this.
And the gifts on the bottom that Maggie made.
Oh, yeah. I hid those little gift boxes.
Yes,
Look for those.
They're way
those
down.
are so cute.
Oh, thanks.
So stop into Bobby Bead. This one is unboxed, unveiled, and we will be unveiling more and more. You see these up on the shelf there. Those are all boxes of more featured designers. So we will be gathering. I want to get the featured designer together on Zoom so we can hear about their design as we open it and unveil it to the public. It's so exciting to launch the Toho 23.
That was
challenge.
fun. We had a good time, didn't we, this morning, Lisa?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we did.
It was
So
fun
go
to
to
do.
the Team Toho Facebook page or Maggie's Facebook page, and she's shared it on there now. We'll be sharing it around for you.
Lisa, yeah, go to the Team Toho page and you can share the video to
Yep.
your Facebook page too.
Okay, I have to get my phone.
And so that way everybody can see it. We're so excited, and we'll have more and more unveilings as our spring goes on.
Mhm.
And but other than that, let's see, back to do you have any finishing remarks, Maggie?
I don't think so. I'm thinking I, covered everything. If I didn't,
All right,
You can-
so
you
then
can
tell
email
them-
me.
Tell them again how to contact you, how to
Okay.
get all your places.
yeah, okay. So you can get me in my new website shop, which is maggietdesigns.com, all lowercase, all one word. And I have these little kits. They're just $10 with the supplies to make this bracelet. And I also have the Beadalon repeat cord for sale in my shop. And like I said, no Toho beads yet, but hope springs eternal.
Exactly.
So that's that. And you can, the bracelet kit is $10 plus postage, so very affordable.
Oh,
The pattern
absolutely.
is free on umbs.org. Yeah, there you go.
We're
That's
so
what I got.
excited. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for watching the first part of our show. Patty Joe is watching, Sandy is watching, Jan, Hannah. We've got several people, so if you're joining us on Facebook, we are very happy to have you. And so we are going to just take a really quick moment. Our next project that we're going to be teaching is this wonderful awareness ribbon, how to make the awareness ribbon. And if you have not yet been to get the pattern, we also do have the patterns to share on umbs.org. We'll be downloading them here too, so that you can see them on the screen. And you can do a solid color, or you could do a bicolor. It's completely up to you what you want to make. We're gonna have so much fun, so we're just gonna shift the cameras and get everything ready and take like a 5-minute break here to get all that done. So you're welcome to chit chat, ask questions. But we are gonna get everything together here.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions they want me to answer,
Please.
I'll just be sitting here packing up my stuff.
So
Hey,
you can
Meg-
message on Facebook or unmute and talk to us.
Hey Maggie, I just wanted to note that, you know, we were talking about the bobbins.
Yes,
The bobbins, you can buy the bobbins without a weight. And then, get, big washers. And glue them to the back. You have to kind of sandpaper the back of the plastic a little bit so that it adheres better.
oh,
And then
okay, yeah,
use them E6000 and glue them on.
yep, that's an option too. Okay. Thanks for saying that, Jan.
Yeah, sometimes you can't get the weighted in the size that you want.
Right, right. And you can also, like I said, and I don't use the weighted ones in general. Not that I haven't ever, but because they tend to make my braid too tight. But I have students, I teach out at Lotus Beads at the Mall of America 2 Tuesdays a month. And I have students who absolutely swear by their weighted bobbins, and they do everything with the weighted bobbins. So, you know, and they come out with beautiful pieces. So that's a personal preference thing, just like your foam disc.
Right, right.
Okay. What do you need me to do?
Is this the correct one? No, that's not the correct one. It's a form. In the comments.
Yeah, I could just be here. Instead of moving all the way across the room, you know, it's one of those things where. You see our film studio here, we really have a lot of fun. We've got all these octopus arms.
I gotta say, I am so jealous of your
Of our setup.
internet setup here. Holy crap.
Well, you
It's
know,
amazing.
that's partially all thanks to all you wonderful people that have helped sponsor the Upper Midwest Bead Society. We have, here, I'll just flip up my camera to show part of, see, we've got all these cameras.
Look at all of this. Look at,
Lights, oh my gosh, it is just amazing, just so many different things. Let's not forget to let the other folks in. Trying to be the host. But yeah, it's amazing. And so part of our fundraising really has brought amazing technology to the forefront of how we now can bring a much better quality show to you, so that you could see everything better. And that seems to be pretty in focus, right, guys? But we're hoping that y'all can see. And so for this project, this is the Toho awareness ribbons that we're making today. And so get all your supplies. You can use the Toho Ico beads if you want to. They will work up the best for you because they are the most uniform beads in the universe. They are pre-culled by hand, actually, in Japan. And so you could make pink ones for breast cancer. There are so many different things to be aware of in this world. That just 1/2 gram of beads will create just a fun little earring size awareness ribbon, or you could turn it into a pendant and put it on a little chain. It's pretty much however you would like to do it. And so what you're gonna need is, I recommend thread. I like the Toho 1G thread. It's a nylon thread. It's much nicer to use because there's a little bit of stretch. So for rings, I really like to use nylon thread versus the fire line. And since we have so many pretty colors of beads that we're going to be using, on this stitch, you do see a little bit of thread on the corners of the beads. So if you look at my ring, the yellow one, I used yellow thread on. The blue one, I used blue thread on. And so using a lot of different colors of threads will help to accent your color up in your piece ring palette. The other thing, if you are using the Toho Ico beads, they are a size 11 cylinder. And so generally when I'm working with size 11 cylinders, I work with size 11 needles. The 11 needles will go through the size 11 beads with the size D thread. The 1G is a size D. And so that will pass through 11 times. And it really is the largest hole in the cylinder bead industry. So it's a lot larger comparable. So also Fireline sometimes has a tendency to split the cylinder beads because the walls are straight. And so they're very delicate, and Fireline, I mean, it's a Kevlar based product. So we really have a lot of tension in our lives, and we bring that tension into our beading, and which is not very good. We want to lighten our tension in our beading as well. But if you pull too tight, you're going to split those beads like crazy if you're using Fireline. So I really recommend the 1G thread. And also if you're making a ring, your hands are going to swell like mine do with the seasons or with the amount of salt you eat. So honestly, a little bit of stretchy is good. And that way you want a little bit of stretch. When you're making the awareness ribbon, and it's not going to be a ring, then you might be able to get away just fine with using any line you want. But because you will see that line a little bit, on this one, I used red. So on the bottom of those red beads, you can hardly see it. But here in the middle where it's next to the yellow, you can see it a little bit, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. It complements the beads really well. But that's a really fun way of how you can see that your thread is going to impact your beads a little bit.
That thread color just becomes part of your design.
I think it does, just like the grout in your tile, you know.
And I've done that in Kumi designs too. I'll do a see-through bead with a darker cord.
Exactly, you get the depth and dimension. So I really think it's a really nice way of doing it. So let's show you quick how the pattern works. And the piece ring pattern is a fun pattern that we came up with when we were actually teaching how to do the brick stitch triangle earrings, where you start in the middle and decrease your way down to the point. And so we were teaching this at the Bead and Button show, and after 300 different folks were saying, okay, and they're learning how to decrease. So they're like, well, how do I increase? And so that got me thinking. And so this is actually the triangle pattern in reverse. So all it is increase. So it's a one-way stitch. So that's why it works really perfect for these ribbons. And it's with the Icos as well. They sit really nicely on top of each other. And so we start off with a ladder stitch. So I'm not sure if you know what ladder stitch is, but that's where the 2 beads, and this is a 2-drop ladder stitch. So it works faster, 2 beads at a time in each row. So these 2 beads will sit right on top of each other like a column. And then we're going to add 2 more beads that will sit right next to them in the second column. And we're going to go around in a couple circles just to tie those beads together to sit. Then we're going to add 2 more beads, pass through the previous beads, and create our 3rd column. And that's what this entire project is. is 3 bead columns. And then we're gonna jump up and create another 3 bead column over here and repeat and repeat and repeat. So it's a whole lot of fun. So then we basically repeat the first 2 steps we just did, but we have to connect one row to the previous row. And so like most brick stitch, you would connect with just the thread of the lower row. Well, because this is a ring and we really want to have it strong, we're going to connect to the lower row of beads instead of just that little piece of string. So we are then going to add 4 beads, just like we did in step 1, pass around those 4 beads again so that they stay in this little quad. And then we turn around and go down through that column. So that way we have now connected the new row to the lower row. So then we're going to connect up. So see, we have column 1, 2, 3. So then we're going to show you this in person, but showing you the diagram really helps to show you how we connect one row to the next and one row to the next and just continue how this wonderful pattern goes. And we're going to switch colors with each row, so that way it's much easier for you to check it out. Since it is Earth Day, we want to bring awareness to what is going on in the world as well. And so there are so many different awareness things that we could do to bring awareness or to know and bring it without even words. There are all these wonderful colors of ribbons that will help you. So the blue ribbon basically has been a symbol of hope for many people. But yes, it does represent over 100 different causes. And so if you look all these wonderful different things, so just creating a blue ribbon will make a statement without saying any words. So there's all these wonderful different colors. The red ribbon, is for addiction, is for one main, or we've got for MAD, for blood cancer, all different kinds of things. Amber ribbons, the yellow ribbon has been long used to support our troops, and all different other kinds of things, missing children, missing persons, and types of cancer. So we're very excited to help support everyone around and bring awareness to those as well that we really do need to bring more awareness to. And so then we also have, let's see, our wonderful, so I've been making all kinds of different ribbons for Pride, and so I hope to as well make an autism ribbon. My nephew has severe autism. We all have people in our lives who we really need to bring awareness to. So this is a way we can support everyone in our lives in many, many different ways. So just check online and check out the different colors that mean something to you. You can do them in many different ways as well. You can do rainbow this way, rainbow this way. So there's many different ways. Add and personalize your ribbons for the causes that you support. And so today, I am going to show you how to make this using 8/0 hexes instead of the little teeny tiny cylinder beads. I will go back and show you how to connect them, but since they're so small, they're harder to see when actually beading. So I'm going to show you with the larger beads, so that way it's a little easier. So the colors I'm using today represent the ribbon to support trans people in the world. And so it's pink, blue, and white. And I put in the sparkly silver in place of the white to have some sparkle here, and the silver line colors. So that's why, so this is what we're going to create. So everybody grab your size 11/0 needle, and then your Toho 1G thread or nylon thread, whichever you like to use. And I actually bead right from my bobbin. It only takes for a normal awareness ribbon, which I like to use either 17 rows or 19 rows because of the odd number. One goes in the middle, and then you have enough so that it can fold over nicely and then have space for the ribbon. And so it usually takes about a yard of thread, and that's it. But you never know, sometimes you want to go through it more. So what I do is I pull 1 yard of thread off of my bobbin, and then I peel away this little sticker on the edge of it, and then take the thread and hide it under that sticker so that it doesn't move anywhere. You can also just take a piece of tape and tape your thread down. That way it's not going anywhere. It's not going to unravel if you toss it on the floor accidentally while beading. And if you run out of thread, all you have to do is then unravel, and you have now a tail thread to use. So, because you do want to strengthen this up. So as we said, we are going to start right at the beginning, which is 4 beads. So pick up 4 beads on your needle and then slide them down so that if you did cut your thread, at least leave yourself like an 8-inch tail. You really do want some kind of a tail. But this particular pattern has no knots in it. Most of my beading does not have any knots, especially rings, because you want free-flowing movement. You don't want anything to impede it. So I just go around in circles. Sometimes that seems a little silly, but it actually really secures everything. So I just pass through all 4 beads again, and then those 2 beads are going to just nestle right next to each other, sit right on top of each other. And so then I want to secure that. So I'm going to go up through the left-hand side. Your tail thread is going to be on your bottom left. Right here on the left-hand side is my tail thread. And then my working thread will be on the right. If you are left-handed, you could do this in just the complete reverse. So there's no right or wrong, just do it in the reverse. So after you go through the left-hand beads, now you go through the right-hand beads, and those 2 beads will stack right on top of each other, and they're not going to move because you've gone through them 2 more times. So you only do this second around right at the beginning to hold your first in place. So now we have 2 columns. We want to create the 3rd column. So pick up 2 more beads, and if you're doing the same color in that row, pick up the same color beads. And so then, since my tail is coming out the bottom, I want to come down from the top so that I will exit the same bead my tail thread is coming out of, and I will come out at the same place. Head for the thread and come out the same place your other thread was before. And so now you have those 2 locked right next to each other to create the 3rd column. And we want to now go up through the 2 beads you just added, and then pinch with your finger will hold those 2 in place, and then pull the thread taut. So now the thread is coming out of the bottom. This is my tail, and this is my working thread right up here. And this is the 1st row. Now we're going to create the 2nd row. And so we're going to use pink. So that way you pick up 4 pink beads. This is the color in my next row. And I slide them all the way down my thread so that it lands right next to the other row. And then controlling your thread is very important. So I just put those 4 new beads right on my finger, and then I pinch the 1st row in my finger. So that way they're all secure. And then come back up through the bottom and pass through all those 4 beads again. If you hold them in place with your thumb and forefinger, they will pinch right over just like that and hold them in place. If they slid out of place, just pull them right back with your fingers so they set right next to them. So wherever your thread came out of that 3rd column, we want to go right back down there again. Remember, head for the thread. So go right back down through that 3rd column. And when you pull this, those two that were sticking out over there will now swing over there in the middle and sit right up on top. So we want to connect the center column of the lower row with this left column on the top row. So then we go through those two beads and then these two. If you have to put them on with your fingers, that's okay. And so you're going through the center column of the lower row and the left column of the top row. So then pinch it with your thumb and forefinger to hold those beads in place while you pull your thread taut. Those two now will sit right there. So if you're looking at the pattern, we just finished step 4. So now we're going to complete the rest of step 4. We're coming out of the first one here. We want to head down through the 2 beads on the right so that we can finish this row. So we have 2 columns. We want the 3rd column right here. So we're going to add 2 more pink beads. We're coming out of the bottom. So now pass down through the top so that you exit the exact same place your thread is exiting. So just those 2 pink beads. And then pull taut, so those 2 will sit right next to it. And then pass up through the 2 beads you just added. So now you've created 2 rows. So we're going to repeat that all over again. And again and again and again. So we'll change colors. So now we're going to use the white. And once again, slide those beads all the way down to your project. Hold that bead, the row right in front of you on your finger, wrap it around your finger, and then pinch it with your center finger. That will hold nice tension. That way you can just slide your needle, pass through all 4 at once, then pinch those 4 and then pull towards yourself. Those beads will just fold over like they're supposed to. So now you want to go right back where you came from. Head for the thread. So when you pull that taut, those 2 that are sticking over there will swing over. So when you're using really big beads, the holes are larger, it's a little looser. So that way, don't worry about it. You can pass through these beads, or we will pass through these beads to secure this at the end. So once again, go through the center column in the lower row and the left column in the new row. And then we're going to pass down through the 2 beads on the right to set those in place. Now we need to finish the 3rd column. 3 is such a universal number that when you work them together like this, rows of 3, 3, 3, and 3, they create a perfect zigzag so that you've got everything just staggered perfectly.
Well, and in general, uneven numbers are way more attractive.
They really are. So then
Than
when you
even.
have them, the notches will create and stack, stack, stack. So that way, if you want to create one ring in one color, the next in the other color, they will just stack up. If you want to create 2 colors in one ring, then they will create this beautiful stripe if you do it the way that Alexandra Sidorenko had laid out for us to create the yellow and blue Ukrainian flag. If you want to create a whole lot of them, then it's a lot of fun. You can just
Oh, my goodness.
and
Turn your wrist around and show them the clasp.
so yeah,
Oh, cool.
even use a ring is the perfect button loop. So this is 100% the identical same stitch. I just connected them together. See how they perfectly stack together. And then I left them to split apart so that all the movement on my wrist, they'll work. And this is absolutely almost unbreakable. Because of how the stitch goes in circles. But so if you want to make a ring, this is like 19 rows. A bracelet is between 47 and 57 rows on me. So it just depends, but they stack perfectly together because those icos are absolutely perfect. They're culled by hand in Japan. And so the bad ones stay in the recycle bin and get turned into something else. So once again, we're gonna go over and over, repeat the next color. So in the ribbon, then we go back to the pink.
Can you imagine the kind of eyesight you'd have to cull out the bad beads?
Well, and that's the thing.
Something
because
that size?
I was talking to
Wow.
Wayne when we were working at the Toho booth at the show. And when he started at Toho for 6 months, that was his job. He had a 50 millimeter needle. And he would scoop up beads and then go good, good, good. And then the bad one would go in the recycle bin. Good, good, good.
Or
Bad in the recycle bin, and they hand culled everything. And if he found 50 bad beads in that 1 kilo of ICOs, they recycled the entire kilo of beads.
wow.
Because, you know, the percentage of what it would be might be off, so they just couldn't trust it. So they would go through, you know, so many grams all by that, and then test, you know, and see. So if there was 3 bad beads in, you know, the 100 grams, then that's a, you know, a ratio per gram.
That's acceptable.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that's how perfect those ICO beads are. They are a little bit of a lull in production last year, so if you are having a harder time getting the ICOs, they will be back. They have not completely stopped. They're just a little bit of a pause. They had to catch up on their rounds. Toho is very busy, especially in the fashion industry, and everybody is blinging out their whole lines of clothing right now for 2023. Just Sparkle Mania, Bead Couture, and Toho. So they were busy making a lot of beads for the fashion industry.
No doubt using our favorite timbre embroidery.
Oh, absolutely. I was watching some of the videos for some of the different, you know, Dior and some of the other houses, what they were doing. And there's a big influx, not just the French timbre style, but the Indian timbre style, like Hannah was showing us at our
Yeah.
glass bead meeting, where it's more timbre on top versus underneath. And so on Instagram, you can follow these fashion designers and watch. They show a lot of the behind the scenes of making the couture outfits. And
I have found 1 or 2 YouTube videos in the
Mhm.
past and watched how they do that timbre embroidery in the couture
Yeah.
houses. It's fascinating.
it really is.
And they go so fast. Oh my Lord, those ladies are good.
I know. And they hardly get any credit either.
No,
you know,
they don't.
It's John Galliano or whoever's leading the house that gets all the credit. And those little ladies work their fingers to the bones.
Mhm.
So I tell you, so I hope you're beating along, making some awareness ribbons. The pattern for this one is blue, pink, and then the white, and then pink and blue. So then I'm just repeating that over and over again, trying to see to create the different patterns. So it's really going to turn out fun. So remember, you do your 4 beads and then go through those 4 all again. That really ties them together. And then pass down through where you just came out of. That's that 3rd column. And then those 2 middle ones are going to flip over. And so then go up through the middle column in the lower row, the left column in the top row, and pull tight after each section, because the ladder stitch and square stitch is up, down. You really don't want to cut any corners on these kind of stitches. And so those 2 are in place. And so
So Rochelle, how far do you need to go before you, I mean, how long is a ribbon compared to the ring?
so that the ones that I made that look like this here, I made 19 rows to make these 2 ribbons. And then this one here, whoops, I made 17 rows on this one, and you can see how it's just a tiny bit smaller. And then that measures just a little bit over an inch. And so if you look at our sheet, I think that is an size 8 ring. Could you hand me those sheets right over there, Maggie? I'm afraid I'll trip on all the cords if I get up. Yeah, both of those sheets, that one and the big one, yeah. And so if we look on the guide, on the pattern, yeah, 19 rows is a size 9 on your fingers. On the patterns, there is a row guide, that'll tell you how many rows, let's see, there we go. How many rows will get you, so 19 rows is a size 9 ring, and then that was the size of this earring. So it worked, comfortably at 19 or 17. And so I'll show you with so I made one, I was repeating the piece ring ribbon. That's also when you're trying to repeat colors, you know, on the rainbow ribbon I was making, I wanted to do split the rainbow in half. So purple was at the top and red was at the bottom. So then I have 3 for purple, and then I have 7 for the rest of the rainbow. So I was dividing it up by color. So that way I met in the middle. So trying to get a plan on color is always tough. When I did the second one, I was like, well, let's just start here and have some more reds and see how far I got. And I'm not sure if it looks as much as like a rainbow in an unplanned pattern, but it
Good.
but so that's where then when I was doing it with the pattern of this color, because there's 4 colors in the trans ribbon, and you repeat then the pink and the blue twice. So that way I was trying to figure out to have it work out even. And so in my hexes, it turned out to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 rows, coincidentally. And so I'll show you how to strengthen it and then add the jump ring on the top here. What I did for either an earring or a pendant is I just beaded in a soldered jump ring. So as I was beading, as passing from one row to the next, I just added that in there so I could easily add my ear wire to it. If you were doing the same thing with any peyote project on that with it, you could just bead it in there or do a couple bead loops. But this way, if you're using a soldered ring or a solid demi bead, then your ear wires would hook or your jump rings would hook right to that. So that's.
Or you could use an 8/0 bead and a jump ring.
You could use an 8/0 bead, an 8/0 demi. You could also use a wire guardian. Those work really well too. And so I found that the jump ring worked really well. So like I said, as I was beading here, these are big 8/0 beads. So my 1 yard, I ran out of, this is where I ran out of thread. So since I beaded right off of my bobbin, I'm just going to now unwind my bobbin. And so I'm going to take another couple feet of thread, and then I can now use this to strengthen, reinforce, and connect if you were making a piece ring, you would wrap it around and we connect it from here to here. And we do have those videos of how to do that on Facebook and YouTube in 3 different languages. But since we're making the awareness ribbon, we're going to show you how to connect it. So I am just going to needle my thread here on my tail. And the eyes of these Toho needles are quite large. So you really do have to hold your thread so it doesn't keep popping out of your needle. But that means it's really easy to thread. So we want to put the jump ring right at the very top center of our awareness ribbon. So if you fold over your ribbon in your hand before you start, then mark where it's going to be. So that is this blue strip right here in the middle. So I can do it either on either point. See, there's a point on both sides. So that's just kind of remember where you are. So we are going to mark that. But because this is so loosey-goosey, we want to reinforce this first. So how we do that is we do a series of figure eights where we are going to reconnect the center column of the lower row to the upper column, the right column of the upper row, and then the center column of the upper row back down to the left column. So we're going to go through 8 beads. Remember when we went through 4 to secure them? Now we're going to go through 8. And then we're going to make a figure 8 to move to the next one and go the other direction. So I am going to go up these 2 beads, which is the center and the right column. Oops. But I need to do it on the same side of the bracelet, sorry. If I were connecting the ring, I do it on the opposite. But with the awareness ribbon, we're gonna turn around and go back the same way. So sorry, I have to unthread my thread. So I don't tangle. Apologies. So once again, I'm going up through, this is my tail thread of where it just came out. I'm going up the center of that one and the right of the upper one. And then I will go down the center of that one and the left one of there. So all 8 beads. Now I got to move forward though. So that means I got to go back through those 4 again. And then this is part of the figure 8. If we went around those 4, now I'm going to have to go this way. So just go down the 2 beads in the center column of the row you're in, and then go up the 2 on the left column of that row, and up through the 2 in the middle now of the next row. So the 2 pink on the left and the 2 silver on the middle. And now we're going to circle these 8 beads. So you'd go down the one in the right, down the one in the middle of just the pink and the silver, just those 2 rows. And so don't catch the thread. Sorry. I forgot to pre-stretch my thread. That's the only thing about working on these teeny tiny little bobbins versus the giant spools is that you really have to pre-stretch the thread to get those little kinks out.
Do you know why that is?
Because the tension of its spooling, it's like a giant 6 feet spool of thread, 6 feet long, 6 feet diameter, spooled on this little teeny tiny bobbin, and then or spooled onto a bigger bobbin. So the tension is less, they say.
Oh, okay. Because I have noticed that too.
Correct. So it's all about the tension and the spooling and the speed. It's like your trailer tires run out before your regular tires because they're smaller.
And they're going more rounds.
Correct. They go twice as many as your other ones. So we just have to go around these figure 8s again and again and again and move our way down. So now I just move up through these 2 pink, the 2 silver, and the next 2 pink. And we are now going to do the figure 8 that way. And so this way, just whether you're making a ring or an awareness ribbon, will create those circles and those figure 8s to make this absolutely almost unbreakable. I've been wearing these 2 rings on my finger for a little over a year since the Ukraine conflict came out. We did this for Earth Day last year. And I wash my hands all day. They stretch a little bit. But they have not broken. I mean, I've worn these every single day. And it's just one of those wonderful testaments to the Toho thread, that it is really strong. But it's this circular figure eight after the circular figure eights. That just, it's an infinity. That's why they call it infinity. It'll hopefully last forever.
Well, and that Toho thread, I mean, as opposed to Fireline or Wildfire, excuse me, gives you a lot more flexibility.
It does.
And I used to use Fireline a lot when I would do my embellished kumi braids, when I would bead weave through some of the beads and add extra blingy poos on the bottom or the top, whatever. And I found that the Fireline it makes it really stiff. It just doesn't move nicely.
Because it is, when it's pressed, it almost has, that waxy coating finish on it. And that just, it
Not that it
can't.
doesn't have its uses, but yeah.
It just can't. So here we are now to the middle of our awareness ribbon. So we are coming from the lower to the middle. Here, so this is where I want to add my jump ring. So the soldered jump rings, that means they don't open. That means your thread ain't coming through them and everything is good. So as I need to go around this 8, I just pick up the jump ring. Now I go through the column on the left and the column below it. And then that jump ring is going to sit right there. So that way I can hook it right onto my thing. Because it's a stress point, I'm just going to go through that one more time and strengthen that so that normally you only do once, but I'm definitely going to do that twice. So that way it'll fold just fine. I like these 8 hexes. I think this would be a nice size if you were making a ribbon to like hang in your window or your tree or your rear view mirror. It's probably illegal, but so that way now we have reinforced and added that center. We now need to finish and go down to the rest of these, and then we will crisscross it and connect once we get right down to that point. Since we have to strengthen it anyway, I found that it really made more sense to strengthen it and then basically connect it while you were, on the downside of the strengthening. So it, you're not backtracking.
Well, and
unnecessarily.
I used some hex beads for that, the 2023 Toho challenge in the braid that I made for the tree. And it gives it a lot of extra texture, a little bit of
It does, the sparkle.
the light, yeah.
The light, it is a wonderful bead, and it's a hex-shaped cylinder bead, honestly. It's not really,
It's not a traditional round bead.
it is not anywhere near a traditional round. So I really find it nice for brick stitch, peyote stitch. I use it a lot as bases for things. And so now this point here, we are just coming to our blue once again. So I was using the blue as my marker, but that's where I want to crisscross my ribbon. So let it flow naturally of how this cross should be. Because of how this one is tighter over here, you've already secured this side you only half secured, but you do want these ends on the bottom to go, either make sure if you want them to go in the opposite directions or the same direction. You just get to decide. There's absolutely no right or wrong. It's a ribbon, you're crossing it over, but I thought it looked nicest when they went, out, both of them went out versus both of them going to the right. So that way, so I'm right here at my blue. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to cross at the blue or cross at the pink? And I think I want to cross at the pink, the way it would look. Each color is each like ribbon you make might be different. I crossed at the green on this one and I thought that looked really nice. But otherwise, if you're doing a solid color one, just count your rows, and here I crossed at the 5th row from the end. Just coincidentally. So let's see, I'm right here, so I decided I want to go through the pink. So let's finish the blue so that I'm done. Crisscross. My thread. I purposely used blue thread so that it would show up a little bit more and I could see where I'm going. So what I did is I came out of the center of this side, center column of pink. So I'm going now up the other side of the ribbon, up those other 2 beads.
So you've just laid those right across each other?
That's all I did. I laid it right across each other. And so then they are coming down these 2 beads and up those 2 beads. So that way the threads will crisscross. Let's see here. There we go. Doing it backwards and upside down is really here too. Yeah, Maggie was talking about it. But this way.
When I try to
so-
teach Kumi
Right,
upside down and
but if you
backwards.
go from one row to the back row, that way, you are connecting and passing through beads. So we're going up this one. The pink row, I'm working on the pink row. So I'm just crisscrossing from the back pink row to the front pink row. And then I'm going through the next column of that and working my way across, up, down, and then connecting, see back, pink row. And that way, you're not like poking through beads, like just back and forth, like through the thread path. You're actually, you just connecting these 2 beads and those 2 beads. And that way the thread lays really nice. These 2 overlap each other. And so it almost only looks like one row there in the middle. It's kind of just a nice, clean, simple look. And then figure out which way you haven't gone yet, usually is by where your tail thread is sticking out. So these are the 3 rows I haven't yet secured. So now we just finish the securing. Remember that figure 8 pattern, the one on the end to the one on the middle. And we said, if you don't fold your thread in your needle, these toho, the eye is quite large. So that way you can fit even up to a 10-pound fire line in these, as long as you squish it. But you gotta hold on to it. Okay, so then we go all the way down because we're moving down the row. And so now we go to the middle pink to the end silver, middle silver to the end pink. And then back up. And now we connect the blue. And the blue. So you do all your figure 8s, infinities. And so now I came down here and I met my original tail. If you're really nervous and you want to tie the tail with this tail, you totally can do that. It's an awareness ribbon, so it's not going to be stretched like a ring is. But then I still would never just leave my tail. I always just go back and go through, so that way they go in. So if this is still too loosey-goosey for you, you can go backwards and reinforce the whole thing in reverse, just like you did it the other way. Just follow that figure 8 in reverse. There's no rhyme or reason. These are just really big holes on the 8-0 hexes. So then you've got this lovely ring right there on the top. And so once we have woven in all of our little tails, all I do is I put my needle on the other end, and then take these little tails and just weave in those little tails. Anywhere you like, just weave them in, and then we trim off our tails. And if you're doing the ring, you would just go around and around and around in all those circles as well. And so that way, so just like this one, I just connected right in the middle on the green, and I just wove my tails around back up through there to just strengthen the whole thing a little bit more. And so yeah, this one I used a red thread on, and this one I used an orange thread on, so you can kind of see a little bit there. And then all we do is attach the ear wire to the top, and so see which way it's going to hang well. It might hang better forward, backwards, so you might have to adjust the top of your ear wire just a little bit if it's not hanging quite right. You can turn this little circle up here just to twist a little bit one direction or the other direction so that it would hang right. But what we do is we just open up our ear wire with our pliers and then hook it on, and I think it's going to hang best that way so that the hook is in the back and of the deal. Pinch this back together. These are just little front loop ear wires, and that way
Could you use posts too?
you could use a post. The idea is maybe because the post has that ring that this would hang off of, and so you
Oh,
would
right.
just open the ring underneath the post and hook that to the post. Or if you had a necklace, then the chain would go through here, or if it didn't hang quite right, put another jump ring
Right.
on, so that way
So that
the
it turns the
chain
right
would hang
direction.
correctly.
Yeah.
And so it's, yeah, it seemed to, each one just hung a little bit differently. So I just twisted it a little bit to hang it right. There's no rhyme or reason, when something is moving, it likes to hang a little bit, but they do hang really nice and straight. So that way I thought that this one would hang nicely, from a pendant or, in a window or something like that. And that way we could, or put it on a charm, hang it in the sunshine. I think it's just a lot of things you can possibly do. So if you want to make it 2 different colors, that's the fun, easy way of making the stripe. And so it's the exact same way of doing it that you did before. I will show you on the one we've already started. If you wanted to make the stripe, there is a fun, easy way to do it that I think we do have all the words of how to do all that. All the pattern is everything on the umbs.org. And like I said, Alexander Sidorenko mapped this out for us easily so that we could make the 2-color Ukrainian flag to help bring awareness to the horrible situation going on there. But a lot of the flags are so nice. I think that especially this one that has 4 colors, you could make one ring so it would be blue and then pink, and then the next ring would be white and pink and then blue. So you could just stack them all up and make them in the rows that you want. It's completely up to you. So if you want to make one that looks like this in 2 colors, the very beginning is the same 4 beads. But on 1 meter of thread, you would use 3A, that would be 3 blue and 1 yellow. And so since I have blue and pink beads right here, we are going to use 3 blue and 1 pink. Because that's what I have. And so you would then wrap them around your finger like we did before. And all the beginning is the extra pass through, because those 4 beads won't quite lock together only once. So go through the first 2 beads, pull it tight. Now, when you go through the second 2 beads, there you go. So now you have 3 and 1. So now we want to have, the next needs to be pink. So now you add 2 of the B beads. So that would be the pink. So first we added 3 blue, 1 pink. Now we just add 2 pink.
I'm sorry, Rochelle, I need to go. My meter is gonna run out.
I totally thank you.
I don't
so
want
much,
to tow my
Maggie, for
car.
joining us. Yeah, we're just our last 10 minutes of class, so you won't miss anything.
Well, and I thank you for having me. I had a
We
lot of fun.
really have enjoyed and so much fun, Maggie. I'm so excited to share your Toho. The pictures of Maggie's Toho Challenge will be up on Facebook on the Team Toho page in the feature album very soon. We'll get them up here this
Maggie
next
and
week.
Lisa.
And Lisa Julie. It was a combo design. Most people
Yeah.
do them alone, but since these 2 partners are just so amazing, I asked them to do it together. So I think that it was a very unique partnership that you guys
Yes.
have. And
Yeah, we had a
it
lot of
was
fun doing it. It
Yeah.
was good. Okay, I better go before I lose my car.
All right, no, don't lose your car.
That would be a bad.
Exactly. So if you want to continue the 2 colorway, so the first time we did it, we added 3 of the A and 1 of the B. So now this is the second row. We're going to do that in reverse. We are going to add 1 of the B first and then 3 of the A. So it's the same color, but just in reverse of how you pick them up. And when they come together, you'll see why. So wrap them around your finger. Pull it taut. So see how those 2, they hang out over here before you connect them. So then you pass down through the pink beads. So now when you pull that tight, those 2 blue beads, they swing over there on the left because it's closer connected on the right. So we go up through the middle. And now up through the 2 beads on the left. And down through the 2 beads on the right. And then once again, we add the 2 B colored beads, which in this case are pink. So now we repeat that over and over and over again. So the first 4 is the only time you do that in reverse, just because of how you got them on there. So now once again, to create that same color pattern, pick up 1 of the B color bead, that's the pink, and then 3 of the A colored bead, which that is the blue. Slide them all down. And then you go right back down those 2 pink ones. And see those 2 blue ones flip over just perfectly so that they all line up on this beautiful row. And so that way we come down to 2. So then once again, we add 2 of the B beads, which are the pink ones. And those 2 just lock right into this. And so that way you have this beautiful stripe pattern, which will create the double. If you're doing it in the little icos, they look that small. These are the big 8-0 hexes. But they are just so much fun to work with. And all these wonderful ribbons. And so I'm very excited to make more colors of ribbons. And so there's so many different colors. I encourage you to look up on the internet all the different colors and then make your own, which really speaks to you. I was making pink ones for breast cancer awareness. My mama is a survivor, and so we really reach out to all the women out there. And, you know, if you want to make yellow ones, you want to make blue ones, we've got military families, we've got so much hope we need to. And so I was making blue for hope. I did make some white ones too. I just can't find them right now. And so I thought white for peace was really nice. But one of the wonderful things about the project that we have here is that the Toho Peace Ring project is an actual amazing thing that we've been doing now. This is our 7th year of the project. And so how to participate in the project is really easy. We are trying to stay connected through beads all over the world. And language is no barrier when it comes to beading. And so this is a worldwide project started by the Toho Bead Company and me. And so the idea is make a ring and take a picture of your rings and then post them on social media, especially Instagram. You can do it on Facebook too. And then say something positive to the world about anything you want. We just want to have as much positivity out there as possible. And so then after, at the end, then you want to hashtag Toho Peace Ring and then tag the company. So do @Toho_beads. And then they will see your post. It'll show up on the feed and they will be able to see that you did it. And then they actually donate yen to the peace charity in Japan for every single hashtag throughout the year. And so this is now our 7th year of the project. And so we are really encouraging everyone, every hashtag counts. You know, even though it's just a little bit to the peace charity, they do so much. But your picture, your words, your positivity, and your light to the world, that's what's going to make a bigger impact. And the likes and the shares and the clicks will then impact the people who see them as well. So this is really trying to bring peace through the world through 1 gram of beads at a time. And so whether you're making it in the awareness ribbons or whether you're making them in the peace rings, it's all, we're in this together, just us. And so we really are hoping that you will join us, wonderful, for all the things that we've are trying to do and join in this wonderful community so that we can, you know, be happy basically on this wonderful Earth Day together. And I don't know, are there any other questions for anything? If you have, you can always message us on Facebook. You can contact me at Bobby Bead or on the Team Toho Facebook page, or Bobby Bead Facebook, or my own, Rochelle J, or the Upper Midwest Bead Society has a contact on our UMBS.org website as well. And so go to the YouTube channels and archives, and you can find out all sorts of the classes that we've done in the past, download all the patterns, and join the group and have some fun. But thank you so much for joining us today for Earth Day. And we hope that you take it with you and be happy, everybody.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Thank you so much. We need to stop sharing on Facebook. Go, and now we need to stop recording.